Just a couple days ago, President Vladimir Putin offered a ceasefire peace deal in Ukraine, however, was denied by the West to no surprise. Today I've got an article to share with you guys by the BBC where Putin's peace terms were slammed at the Ukraine summit. The leaders of Italy and Germany have strongly rejected ceasefire terms laid out by Vladimir Putin to stop the war in Ukraine, as scores of countries gathered at a two-day summit in Switzerland to discuss ending the conflict. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni called the president's plan propaganda, which effectively suggested that Ukraine must withdraw from Ukraine. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz dismissed it as a dictatorial peace. A draft declaration issued at the summit reaffirms Ukraine's territorial integrity and unambiguously rejects any nuclear threat against the country. On Friday, Mr. Putin claimed he would agree to a ceasefire if Ukraine withdrew troops from 4 regions which Russia partially occupies and claims to have annexed. So what you've going on here essentially is you have NATO, which is trying to keep the war going on to keep expanding NATO towards Russia's territory, which is something that Russia doesn't like. It's kind of a double-edged sword. It's good to have NATO protecting itself. That's their goal, right? To protect each other's nations. If one is attacked, all will contribute in helping that one attacked nation. However, in the eyes of Russians, NATO is seen as an enemy, and over the last couple or so decades, NATO has been approaching Russia's borders more and more. And probably to put it into a better perspective, imagine for a second if China or North Korea were to all of a sudden start to try to influence Mexico or Canada to become an enemy of the United States, for example, or as an extended arm of China, for example, to act in their own interest against the United States. That's not something the United States would actually accept, and it would probably potentially cause a hot war, if not very large tensions. And that's what's going on with Ukraine and Russia here, where it's really a lack of communication. Yes, the West does want to have extra security, and they want to support and protect other allies. However, it's creating more tensions with Russia because Russia doesn't want that to happen. I went over to ChatGPT and I asked it an interesting question, just kind of to give us some clarity regarding what's going on between Russia and NATO. I asked, what does Russia want NATO to do? So it's really simple here, and I actually love the way ChatGPT broke this down for us to easily understand. And it comes down to the NATO expansion. Russia wants a guarantee that NATO will not offer membership to Ukraine and other former Soviet countries. Second, military deployments. Russia demands that NATO roll back its military deployments to the position they held in 1997. Third, military activities. Russia insists on a halt to NATO military activities in Ukraine. 4, new military bases. Russia wants the U.S. to refrain from establishing new bases in the former Soviet Union countries and to not deploy troops to these regions without Russian consent. So I would say that these are very logical and understandable requests from Russia. Russia doesn't want its enemies right up on the border, or enemies that it doesn't trust at the end of the day. And the United States and the West is not listening to those requests by Russia. We keep pushing further and further towards Russia, and Russia clearly doesn't like that, which has led to a war like the Ukraine conflict, for example. So it's just a lack of understanding, lack of communication, and both sides want to win this. However, you've got Russia, a country that cannot afford to have NATO up on its borders, as that is just simply too much of a threat. And it's really forced Russia to become closer allies with countries like China, for example, which is also considered an enemy to the United States. So you've got this huge conundrum here where yes, we're trying to help Ukraine and defeat Russia, but it's creating larger enemies in the scope of enemy allies like Russia and China working together at the end of the day. So let's keep going down here. I asked another reason at ChatGPT, why does NATO keep trying to push closer to Russia? And it makes pretty good sense in the eyes from the sense of looking at NATO's perspective. And 1, it's security guarantees for new members. 2, deterrence and stability. 3, response to Russian actions. Being close to Russia's border is really great for NATO because, hey, if Russia ever does something dumb against our allies, we can be quick to respond, and that's NATO's perspective. 4, commitment to democratic values. And 5, historical context. So at the end of the day here, it's really unfortunate what's going on. This war is really dumb and stupid and should never have started in the first place. And you've got Russia, which is a humongous powerhouse when it comes to supplying the world with commodities, natural gas, oil, things like that, which supplies Europe. And countries like Germany, for example, they're still paying Russia for the natural gas, though it's really hurt them in terms of pricing and stability when it comes to getting those commodities. But I don't understand why these countries like Germany are risking potential economic suicide by supporting the West and fighting Russia over these silly reasons. It's really just, it sounds like a big power play and a lack of long-term thinking when it comes to creating this conflict and pouring gasoline on the fire. And as an American taxpayer funding these wars with billions and billions of dollars, I don't understand why we keep doing it. We look at Afghanistan, Iraq, or just the Middle East in general, what happened between after 9/11 and the 20-year war that led after that, which cost $1 to $2 trillion, and it led to no progress at all. Do we really think that throwing another few hundred billion or a trillion or $2 trillion at this conflict is going to yield any better result when you're fighting an enemy that cannot afford to lose and have NATO even closer to its border? It's something that's an unacceptable truth that Russia will not allow to happen at the end of the day. So that's really just what I wanted to share with you guys, my thoughts on it all. I really want to hear your comments as well down below. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you all so much, and see you on the next video. Bye-bye.